appreciate the interest in the charter initiative. For me, I see it as a great asset and benefit to our city. I'm going to start out by introducing the 15 commission people. I'm going to kind of ask them just to kind of stand up so that people can acknowledge who they are and see who's going to be, if it passes, who would be representing them on that commission. So I'm just going to go through the wards and just kind of down through. For first ward, John Eisel is first ward. Mike Boyle, I haven't seen him. He told me his name. Oh, he is. He snuck in on me. Wasn't sure if he had prior engagement. John Moore is in the second ward. Michelle Wallace couldn't make it. She had a prior engagement. Hannah Flowers up here in the front. Brad Bailey. Tony Osmond, I haven't seen Tony. Emmett Nelson. Cindy Murray's up here. Missy Austin. Brian Harry. Dottie Mullet. Julie Freshcorn. Savon Ward. She's back here. And Mike Shook up front here. Give him a minute. I want to express my tremendous gratitude to these 15 people. It is a very vital part of the charter form, the opportunity to even form the charter. We need these community members to represent our community. As far as if it passes in November, these 15 members would be the ones that would be drafting the charter, which in essence is a constitution for our city. So I cannot say enough how grateful I am for the interest in it and the willingness to put your name to something that could be a benefit for us for generations to come. So thank you to the commission people. Beyond that, we will take questions tonight. I want to do a real quick kind of talk about the charter and kind of go from there. Maybe some of the questions will be answered just by going through the process. So first and foremost, this November is absolutely only about the opportunity to draft a commission or draft a charter. It's about these 15 members. Now, I've been asked, how do these 15 members get selected? 12 of them took out the petition, 11 of them got returned on time, the 12th one wasn't able to get theirs turned in time. But that person was still interested in being on the commission. The remaining 4 council appointed. I will say I went out and I had some help from the mayor, some other council members, as far as who would be interested. I made a conscious effort to fill them 4 spots with at least there was 2 people from every ward. So this commission will be represented by every ward by at least 2 people. Obviously, wards 2 and 3, there's more. But every corner of the town will be represented by at least 2 people. So I felt like that was important, that everybody had a sense of representation in the process. For the charter itself, this November, like I said, it is just for the opportunity to draft it, to allow these 15 people to draw something up. It is in no way, shape, or form a vote for the charter completed process. That will be the following November. So what we're looking at, what I'm asking, is that we give these 15 people the opportunity to see what they can draw up for a constitution that represents our community. We are a statutory city. We basically do a generic framework from the state. there is opportunity for us to create a structure that is representative of our community. And that structure is beneficial to our growth and to maintain a standard of living that we all want to expect. Currently, these two ladies sitting off to the left of me do a tremendous job for our community. They are such an asset for what they are providing for us right now. I live on that side of town. For me to go to Walmart, it's a pain for me as much as anybody. But it needed done. It needed done years ago. There's more work to be done. So I feel like a charter is a piece of this puzzle that we as a community need to develop and that we need to put in place so that we can expect this standard out of our government going forward. Tony's made it. There's one of our commissioners. We'll single Tony out sneaking in the back door back there. So, I lost my train of thought. If I had one. So onto the commission, the charter itself. I was doing some research. I'm new to council. This is my first term. I felt like I needed to do some research on one of the things that was on our agenda on council. I came across charter, studied on it real hard, really looked into every aspect, and I went to Lynn and I was like, why do we not pursue this? And she was like, exactly. Why do we not? I know it's maybe been brought up in years past, maybe in council at some point, and I know I've been pursuing it since I've been on council and became aware of it. The benefits to me are we get to control our own destiny on what our city is going to be, what we expect. Through statutory right now, when our mayor is elected, and our mayor is part-time, she's not required to be there 40 hours a week. She's probably there more than that, but she's not required to. At our size community, we have a part-time mayor that is appointing a full-time city service director. If I ran for mayor this next year, I could say, I'm bringing in somebody else. Nobody would have any say over who that person would be. That is my choice to make. Council couldn't decide, no, we don't like that person. It's just the way the system is. So for a charter, we would be able to create the opportunity where that position would be vetted, where we're hiring that person, whether it's through council, however the commission would draw it up, but council as a whole could interview people and decide this is the person that we feel best suits our interests in the structure of our government. So, I'm getting off. Beyond that, the charter would also change. I've heard questions about what charter would change. Charter would change some of the elected positions. Our auditor would no longer be elected, nor our treasurer. But my point to that is, as a city, we have what, a $7 million budget, right? A $7 million budget for a city of our size. The only requirements that we require as a statutory city is that you be 18 and a registered voter. I don't see how that would make sense to anybody as a criteria to manage that kind of money and be responsible for it on either end. So them positions would also be vetted and hired. I also hear pushback, well, then you're taking away our freedom of voting for these positions. I say that we are creating a system that guarantees we have qualified people in new positions. I know there's 2 previous auditors here. I went back through the Board of Elections. You can see their archives back through 2009. The only time since 2009 that either one of them positions have been contested was in 2016. The treasurer had somebody run against them. The auditor has never had anybody run against them. The treasurer has only had one person in one election since 2009. And I'm basing that off of going to the Board of Elections archive system. It's there. So we're really not voting for the most qualified people in our community. We are voting for what's on there, what's available. And that's not really an option. We're not voting on options. We're just voting on a name. Some other things I wanted to kind of touch on as far as charter. I just see it as an opportunity for our community to create the structure that is consistent with our expectations. We need to have expectations of who is doing these jobs. There's really no consequence if Cindy was not doing the job she was doing. The only real consequence would be council could control the purse strings and say, okay, we're not going to pay Cindy. And that's a process in itself. So there's really no avenue of holding accountability for them positions that are running the city into the capacity they are. Okay, yeah. Also in the charter, the commission would, they would put in, or they could, I shouldn't say they would, they could put in a mandatory review. I know Sunbury adopted their charter in 2020. Their commission put in that charter needed to be reviewed after 5 years to see what's working in it, what's not working. See what could be tweaked, what could be maybe not even necessary, or they felt necessary, that could be eliminated. So the only way, if this is down the road, this is after next year's election, if it would pass in its whole, in its entirety, if we next November said, okay, we accept this charter that the commission drew up, that commission could never be amended by council in its own right. It could never be amended by any mayor, any elected official. Any way the only way it could be amended is through a vote of the electorates. So the city, the people of the city would always control how the government is formed, how it is comprised. Now, council can pass an ordinance and say, hey, this isn't working for us, this isn't working, we want the vote. Somebody would stand up here and tell you why it wasn't working and tell you why we needed to change it. So it could be amended through council, and any one of you sitting out there, if you are an electorate, if you're a registered voter, you can get signatures, and you can force council to amend something that you didn't feel was right. So that's always an option. It's really the city owns the government in its own right. That's what it boils down to. I'm grateful for council for allowing me to bring in presentations for them. I'm grateful that they, educated themselves on the benefits of it, and they allowed, basically council as your government is saying, here citizens, we are giving you the government. We are giving you the opportunity to frame and form a government that you feel best suits our community. So it's not a power grab. I've seen things where people want to say it's a power grab. It's not a power grab when your government says, here, you guys bring in 15 people and you tell us what you want your government to look like, how you want it to be structured to benefit our community. So, one thing I want to touch on real quick is, and I've seen kind of this out there, a lot of times you'll see the word municipality. Canton obviously is a municipality, but so is Ridgeway. A municipality in that word is a city, town, and village. It's all encompassing of city, town, and village. So when you see numbers out there that say there's 600 municipalities that are charters, it doesn't signify to break down two cities. So I know I've put on the Facebook as far as city-wise, there's 195 cities that are chartered. There are 58 cities that are still statutory, and Canton is one of them. One of the things, even as a statutory, as far as us, we have 8,000 people. These ladies fight, bite, and claw for every dollar that comes into our community, whether it's through the state or the federal. We have the opportunity to create a structure that we don't have to have the state structured government to represent us in that regard. We can represent ourselves. Let me look. There is. Okay, one other thing is the cost. I'm going to address the cost real quick. I've seen comments about why don't we use a local attorneys for this process. Mr. Schwimmer sitting here, he does a tremendous job for this city with his ordinances, and he is as educated as any man in this town on city government. And he will tell you he needs help with charter. We just don't have attorneys in our community that are versed in this type of city government transition. I did go to Bricker Graydon and asked them to come give a presentation. When I spoke with Bricker Graydon, I will say, I asked them specifically, how much is this going to cost if you hold our hand from beginning to end? Not none of this, just help us when we need it. It was a complete beginning to end. The number was in the $50,000 range. It's a big number, I understand that. But that is an investment in our future. We will see a return on that money on just better management of our government, better management of the processes that we do. If we can eliminate red tape, there's savings down the road where that money will come back to us. So I understand $50,000 is a lot of money. And I don't want to downplay $50,000 being a lot of money. If I had $50,000, I'd be somewhere real nice, I know. But in the grand scheme of things, as far as the city goes with the $7 million budget, I don't want to call it pennies, and I don't want to downplay it. I will just say that it is an investment in our future and putting us in a better place structurally for consistency in our government and the things we expect from it. Everybody will get a copy of it, if we get that far. So I really kind of want to focus that I will touch that everybody will get a copy. So if given the opportunity, these 15 individuals would draw up the Constitution, so to speak. Whatever they draw up, that would go out to every residence in the town. Everybody would get a copy of it. Everybody would have an opportunity to read it, ask questions. We would have more, I'm sure, town halls on that point as far as answering questions on what things mean in it. So this is, it's a process. It's at least a 2-year process. The commission would have, if it passed in November, basically the week after November or shortly thereafter, then 15 members would meet. They would begin the process of creating the charter. And we would have Bricker grading the work. I'd say Bricker grading because that's where I'm at, because they're the foremost experts in the field. So we want to do it right. We want to do it once. We don't want to shave money off of something that is going to be long-term in our community and represent us going forward. So shortly, if it would pass, they would kind of create the structure of their commission. They would decide who their chair would be that would keep them moving. They would decide who their draftee would be, who would be writing it, as taking the notes and writing it up as they done it. So that would be part of the process. And then in the following November, well, before November, everybody in the community would get a copy of what they do. I'm willing to take questions. Maybe we'll go from there, and I can address some of the things that I have. Oh, Lynn would like to speak.
How about, good. So, again, we have, this has been floated before on charter within the city building, and I just want to kind of give everybody a little peek in the window of what it's like coming in as a new administration. So, and I think we all have to remember for a long time past that every administration change, there's been a safety service change. So it definitely takes, and I think most of the council members can attest to it too, but it takes a while to get your feet on the ground and wrap your head wrapped around what's going on. So the piece of it I think I want to share with people is I appoint safety service director. I appoint income tax administrator. Your income tax administrator is your person that makes sure that we get every penny of revenue, because that is what drives, that's what our city, that's your bank account. That's how we pay our bills. Again, I could get my friend and say, oh, here, you want to put your PDRS to work? And they have no tax experience. I have that power. Do I think it's right? Absolutely not, because we have to look for the best benefit of the city. So again, just in that situation, we have already, in our administration, we have already, whether it's my appointment or not, we still vet all of our new hires. From tax administration, they go through a 5-person panel interview, 2 interviews, it breaks down to the best people, and then they get re-interviewed, and it's from Chief Musser can sit in on it, but we have a multitude, because again, I think everybody needs to hear the strengths of the people that we are hiring on behalf of the city. So I think it's very important that we have some sort of continuity moving from state every term to every term, because it is a tremendous amount when you come in to realize all that's at stake and to learn it. And, it's tough to lose ground. I mean, whether you're pro-construction or pro-project, these things, there's a lot of these things, if we miss a deadline, then we're out of the loop for quite a while. It's not coming around again. So it's very imperative that you have some sort of consistency. I think too, it can be put in the charter, but like a mayor's job, and I believe the mayor's job is really to be the face of your community, not only in your community, but well outside the community, in other communities, in the county, at the state level, at any time, Monday through Sunday, 24/7. I think that's my personal opinion, is my job is to reflect who Kenton is and how much, who we are and the goodness of it. We want to be better. it's not always about being bigger. We want to be better and continue to be better. And it's not saying that we were ever bad, but we have to continue to stay up with the times. You know, it's easy to say, oh, we don't want to do this, because that's how we've always done it. But let me tell you what, in a blink of the eye, we all know in the technology world, you get left behind very quickly. And I think a lot of this would help us. I think the mayor would still retain a veto power. And I think that's important. It's important to me because still with each branch represented, there should be some sort of executive power. And I think that's what our country stands for. So I think that is still a possibility. I think most of them are like that. Correct, Jan?
I can't speak to percentages, but a lot of them are.
Yeah. So I think that way there is a balance. And I think that's what you always have to have. But again, it's very important that, you know, we have, our ordinances are on the books. We have ordinances that are that have been updated since 1966. Some of those things don't even exist anymore. And you know, there comes a time when it's time. And I think now's the time to step into it. Change is painful, but sometimes it's just like the birthing pains. It's rough, but at the end of the day, the reward is generational and forever giving, and it's a huge, huge start for our community. I mean, we're up here because we love our community for no other reason, and we want to see it keep getting better each and every day. Better. Not always just being bigger, because that has its moments too, but we can always strive to be better. She does the hard work. This is easy.
So one thing I want to kind of acknowledge too, in these 15 people will be the ones on the ballot in November that will make up the commission that would be the ones that would draft this document. Now, if there were 16 people, the vote would come down to the top 15. But since we have 15, that's why I refer to these people, these 15 ladies and gentlemen that have willingly stepped forward in our community and want to be a part of something that is just generational. These are times where we have an opportunity to create I believe, a better government and a better structure to our government that will benefit our grandkids and generations to come. There's 100 years of, we can see what this city has been for the last 100 years. We can see our struggles and our growing pains that we've had, but we've never taken control of our own destiny. And that's what this charter allows us to do. It allows us to take control of our city and run it the way that we feel it should be ran, and set the expectations out of the people that, whether you're in my position, Cindy's, or Lynn's, whoever's elected or whoever is hired to run our city, we should have an expectation from them that this is what needs to be done and this is what you've got to get done. And there's no consequences at that time right now. So I wanted to touch on that. Kind of going back to when in council, this is my first term. And here I am standing in front of a group of people that I lived in my quiet little world with my wife for 30 years. So this is my first term. I'm learning on the job myself. A lot of this I've taken on myself as far as learning to deal with charter and to communicate it to you guys. But come November, we will have 3 new council people on council. That is half of our council that will have absolutely no experience on the duties of council. I mean, that's just the reality. So in the charter, and I believe this, we should be staggering our terms. We should have a rotation to where there is consistency in that government, that we don't have to have this fall back to these people got to have time to learn. I had to have time to learn. I'm still learning every day. It's just part of the process. We've all been there, whether it's in a job or anything we do in life. Anything you take on, you're learning from day one. So that is, to me, something in our community that we have the opportunity to fix. We can control how our council is stronger in terms of there's continuity in how often people are turned over at it. So, people have questions, and it's gonna come around. I know Randy, if you don't want to ask, Randy will write the question down for you, and she will ask if you're shy like me, so she will ask the questions for you. If you'd use the mic, I'd appreciate it, so we can record, so that we put it out, everybody will be able to hear it.
Good evening, my name is Betty Oxberger, I'm in Ward 2. Just a question, when the charter is developed, let's say it passes here in November, charter people meet, they develop it, does it go to council, then to the voter?
No, goes to
council?
Council has nothing in it at this point as far as council passed it. Council gives the power of the people to draft it and the power of the people to adopt it. Council has no more say in it from at this point.
And once they do have it developed, so council won't even look at it?
Well, council will look at it as far, I mean, we'll all have, I'm a citizen of the town, so I mean, even every council member is a citizen, they'll have the opportunity.
Yeah,
to
they'll
vote.
look at it, but I mean, they're not gonna have a say in it as far as changes or anything before it goes to the vote or anything of that nature. It's just straight to charter, then it'll go to all voters. My understanding.
That is correct. I will add a little bit to what that question. Every meeting that the commission has is an open meeting. We still have to follow all state laws. We cannot form a government that goes against the state. We can form a government that suits our needs. We still have to follow state laws. Every one of the commission meetings will be open to the public. Anybody can attend, see what's being said, see how it's going along. There is no behind the curtains type stuff. It'll all be open meeting on every meeting. Does that answer your question?
Yes, thank you.
Hi, Jill Adams, Ward 2. When the charter is all ready for the people to vote on it, what happens if it fails?
If it fails, it's dead in the water. It's the end of it. If we, as a city, or even if a community member wanted to go and get 10%, because a community member can start a commission, petition with 10% of the electorates. Any one of you could have started a petition and forced council to pass and the ordinance to put it on the ballot. But if it fails, it goes back to square one. There is no redos, no retries. Let's go back and fix this. What the commission drafts is the final draft, and that is what would be voted on. There is no tweaking. The only way it would be tweaked is after it was passed. In the future, we could make amendments. Yep.
I'm Tony Adams, I'm Bill's husband. Correct me if I'm wrong, the city manager or the city safety director that you're going to hire basically operates as a city manager, is that correct?
That is correct.
So therefore, you have to have a pretty qualified person to do that, which is going to have a pretty large salary. Now, you're talking about paying an auditor, paying a treasurer, and now paying a service director or a city manager. You claim that you don't have enough money to pay the policemen to keep them here and all that. Where's this money going to come from?
Okay, so in essence, we are going to pay them positions as it is. Them positions that need to be paid. I will say, as far as Cindy goes, this lady puts in more hours and more work than she could ever be paid for. The position, whether we're statutory or whether we are chartered, them positions require payment. So the fire and the police, I know like, they need paid too. Everybody needs paid.
You can't tax senior citizens, you can't tax everybody into oblivion to pay for all this stuff. If you look around this room, there's a lot of seniors here, we're seniors. Most of us live on a fixed income. You can't keep raising taxes. We just got to talk about the school thing. Our property taxes went up almost $300. And you can't keep raising taxes to pay for this stuff, right?
Well, so city taxes are a lot different than other taxes. You can go to property levies, but the bulk of the city revenue is from income tax, which is based upon earned income. So your retirement is not taxed for retired people. Now, if you put on a real estate tax levy, that is something you would vote on that would be taxed. But keep in mind, the bulk of the city's income is 1.5% income tax. So that is only on the people that are earning a wage, okay? We cannot raise it more than the 1.5%, which, without going to the voters, which they have tried in the last 20 years. It's been rejected 2 times. Both since I've been in office, maybe 1 time before that, it may have been 3 times, but twice since I've been involved with the city.
Let me just touch on that piece. So it is, everything is very costly. I mean, Ada's just hired a new city manager at $90,000 because that's the going rate, and that's low. Here's the thing. This person, everybody in city government, everybody in this community, our most important thing is we have to do better and build revenue. We have to bring in more income. We can't just stay where we are, because we can't keep up with the world of what it is today. We're not anywhere close from public works to police to fire. The best part about this community is we have dedicated people that work here and work in the city. I'm not talking us two. I'm talking everybody that's been on this beat for 30 years, for 20 years. They love the community. It's called serving. But again, at the end of the day, we continue. What we're trying to do here is build economic development, community development. We're hoping to bring in more tax money, revenue money, not by putting it on the ballot, but by drawing the business, drawing those people that live here and pay their income tax. They might work from home for someone in New York City. That's fine with me. But those are the things that we have to really be working towards. I think that's priority, and we have to have the people in those positions that know how to get that done. So I think it's always twofold of how we do it and our hopes and our dreams. But again, sometimes, like, I have a picture on my wall. It's like you gotta jump off the cliff, and the good Lord will build the plane to get us where we need to go. So I trust that.
Give me 1 second. So real quick to kind of follow up as well, the commission, I know I've seen this online as well, so I kind of want to address this. This isn't an opportunity to tax our town more. That is the farthest thing from anybody's mind. Any one of these 15, every one of them pay taxes just like you. There's some older people that are in your age group or our age group. I'm getting there too. So that'll all be part of what you would read when you read the commission, or what they drafted. That would be things you would decide. You'd like, I can tell you, for me, on my research, I've looked for cities that are similar to us. For us, near us, I don't know if you're familiar with Napoleon. They're up in the northwest corner up by Bryant. They're about 8,000 people. They're an agricultural town, same as us. In essence, they're kind of a sister type city for us. They are very similar in size and economics and everything like that. They've had their charter since 1950. I've read their charter. Their charter says, as far as taxes, they follow the state code of what the state allows. They chose to keep it that way. That's another avenue that the commission could choose. A lot of this is really hard to pinpoint, as far as a lot of it could be possibilities. And the possibilities could be endless until we see that drafted charter that they draft. That's where we really kind of need to make our determination. So, along them lines, it's not really about the tax, I guess is what I want to say, but I understand what you're saying. We have to pay the positions now, if that would be part of it. Does that answer your question? Does everybody answer your question? Yeah, is it?
Not really, but that's.
No, I really want to try and,
You're creating things, but you have no way to pay for it. You're saying that you don't have enough tax revenue now to pay our police and our firemen and what have you. How can you keep adding paid positions to your city?
so,
Well, I'm saying that levy the tax. But, you know, that's my other question, is you're talking about adding more money. And you say we need more money now, so it doesn't add up.
so for our police and fire department, for their size, that is like $2 million of our budget. That is a significant amount of our budget. For the amount of people in them departments, for the amount of people we try and retain for everybody's safety, whether it's fire or police, we really strive to keep the budget to where we can maintain them levels. Them guys, they could go a lot of places too, the same as an administrator could go. It's a very competitive market for the police and fire, and we're trying to stay competitive. I don't really want to get off onto the fire and police levy. I kind of want to stay on charter, but I understand what you're saying. My point is that budget for them departments is, we're at $2 million as a city, and I know you're saying, you know, we're asking for money to pay these 3 or 4 people. To me, it's just the quantified difference of, we're talking about 2 departments as opposed to 2 or 3 people. And I get what you're saying. I wish I had a better answer. Does anybody else have any questions? Oh, well, wait a minute, we got. No, go ahead, Emma, you're right there. Go ahead, you're right there. Oh, I'm sorry, here.
Okay, so I'll kind of expound on yours. If this is voted down, you've got to come up with some money to pay, not me, but the next person here. You've got to pay these positions whether or not you're statutory or you're charter. So the charter really doesn't have anything to do with it. And if you don't pay the people, you're not going to get any good people in those positions.
Exactly, and that's what I was thinking. We have Cindy now who does an excellent job, but we're going to have to, if we're going to be hiring these positions, which I don't not agree with, we're going to have to be willing to pay these people to get quality people. We can't give somebody $30,000 a year and say, okay, you have to work 20 hours, but you really have to work 50 hours, and you have to make sure that you're going to do all this stuff to keep it up to the standard that Cindy has made it. We have to pay these positions now, but we're gonna have to pay these positions more, I believe, in the future in order to get the people that are qualified to do it.
Whether it's statutory.
Right, exactly. So you said the auditor and the treasurer are gonna be vetted or hired. The mayor, are they gonna be, continue to be elected, or is that going to be upon the commission, the charter commission to decide?
That would actually, the mayor would be still elected. What would be up to the commission would be to what capacity the mayor would serve. They could elect the mayor as a member of council. They could elect the mayor as really just a figurehead. I'm with Lynn. I advocate that every government should have checks and balances. We should elect the mayor. She should be able to come in with her agenda. She should be able to push her agenda. Would it be guaranteed? Maybe not guaranteed, but the administrator would have to work with that mayor, and the mayor wouldn't have to work with basically what everybody says. It's the good old boys club, and that's what it is. If you are running for the mayor, you get to pick your friend to do the position next to you. A charter would eliminate the good old boys club, and that's just the reality of it. If you have to show credentials for a job, if you have to show an education, if you have to show your past work experience, just being vetted. If you have to be vetted to do a job that is so detrimental to our city, we should all expect that. I believe. I would expect that.
And would those positions still be open to only residents of the city?
The commission could determine how that is set up. We're talking about what ifs and possibilities. I'm giving you my best answers that I could. It would be left up to the commission. Obviously, 14 of the 15 commission people are here. They're hearing your questions. They're going to have this to draw from. It's going to be beneficial for them to know what their community would like to see from them. So, but it would be up to the commission.
And you stated something about the council can pass an ordinance to change the charter?
The council could pass an ordinance to put an amendment on the ballot to change it. It will always be decided by the citizens of the town. The council has whatever number, because the commission would determine how many council members there is. The council could put it before the people to decide if we need to change this. And if it fails, then council is the same.
And when you have to send out that charter to every member, or to every registered voter in the city, correct? But can you do it by household?
I believe it's done by household, because if you're not a registered, the way we were told is it would go out to each household. Obviously, if you're not a registered voter, you may want to register because you want to have a voice in that election, so it would go out to the household. Yeah. But it would go out to the households that are occupied with residents. It would go out to the residents. State law mandates that, so that's not part of the process. Is the state requires that every resident get an opportunity to read that charter so that they can decide in the election.
And that's good. So the majority of the direction will be from the law group that you guys are hiring, basically. Because I love Mike here, but he doesn't know jack shit about a charter. So he's not gonna know what he needs to pick and choose from. So that law office is going to be
Yes.
kind of giving them direction on, here's your choices, what do you want to do?
Yeah. So, go ahead, John.
Look, I think that's why I'm not trying to pass the buck as the city attorney, but I don't know what works and doesn't. I know what the statutory city requirements are, but I don't know what works in the real world. Some very didn't like what they did, so they're back to the voters to change a few things. That's why I feel it's important to have a law firm that's worked through the issues. They know what has and hasn't worked. Now, that's also why it's so important to have the have people that have some history with the city, and as well as people in the administration that's on the charter, because there's certain things that work in Marysville, but won't work here. We have different demographics here, different financial struggles. So that's why it's important to have local people, because we will get something I feel that works better for the city. So that's, I don't know what I said. I got here for some time.
No, and I understand that, and I totally agree that there has to be someone that knows their way around this. These laws are so gray. There's a lot of things that have to be figured out. And the council has no, I won't say, but no, here's the direction we're kind of wanting to go.
So, I would say yes, because everybody on council is a resident of the city, as well as anybody. Council, me as a citizen, I'm on council, but I am still a citizen of this city. I could say, hey, this is what I think we need. Just the same, I bring a perspective. Ray's been on council. Ray could bring a perspective in that says, hey, when I was on council, you know, these were things that we struggled with. So as far as council, I wouldn't say as council, but as residents that are on council, every resident can bring in their input. Does that make sense? I don't want to say that not council as itself, but as citizens.
Yes and no. So are you saying they can do that at these open commission meetings? That would just be like, an attack to be waiting to happen. Everybody's sitting there saying, well, the commission's doing this, but I don't think they should.
Say it again, I'm sorry.
So, you're saying that everybody can have an input, and I'm thinking these meetings are open, but you're not gonna want me coming up and listening to what the commission has got going on and saying, no, I don't think that's right, I think you should not look at that. You know what I mean? I mean, that's
I
just
know what
gonna
you're
have like 50 other people sitting there besides those 50.
Just basically being disruptive, kind of, right? Is that what your point is, like being disruptive to it? No, I mean, I don't want to put words in your mouth, but
Yeah,
that's.
no, exactly, it would
So-
be very chaotic.
So the attorneys, the ones that would be kind of corralling these 15 cats would be, they would be the ones that would kind of address it. So if somebody wanted to suggest something, it could be heard, you could bring it to council, there's avenues. You don't really need to kind of be disruptive at the commission itself. It's more of it's a working meeting for them. So it's not really, it's for the 15 people. I guess you could be a spectator, and if you see something that you see, you can bring it to council, you can bring it up into the administration. So I'm sure the attorneys would keep it a working meeting, so to speak, and give you the avenues that you would go to address what you would like to see addressed. Does that answer your question? All right.
I'm in favor of this approach to government. There's a lot of reasons, but I've been working in government for many years, both the private sector as well as the public. What you're doing is rewriting the Constitution. That's what we're doing. We're not changing. The Constitution, like U.S. Constitution, the state Constitution, can't be amended except by the people through ballot process. So once it's there, that's the law. Your higher revised code is your everyday laws. They get passed through both houses, and you have the legislature that passes it. But they cannot pass a law to change the Constitution. Once a new home charter is the Constitution of the city of Kent. Now, it's not like we're reinventing the wheel here. There's 158 other municipalities that have done it. They haven't copyrighted it, so we can steal their ideas. We can see what works, what we think would work. So we don't have to be in the dark and pull this out of there and pray you got every night that we make the right decision. That has nothing to do with it. We've got something to look at. Second, every one of you in this room belongs to a social club. Let's give you an example. It's a bad analogy, but it might get the point across. The Elks for years had exalted rulers. They still have exalted rulers every year. We had good exalted rulers, we had bad exalted rulers. They controlled the House Committee, which ran the business affairs of the lodge. When you had a good exalted ruler, you had a good year, you had a profitable year, you didn't go and broke. When we had bad exalted rulers, we went broke. And actually, I worked on some bad committees. Now we have a House Committee. A House Committee that transcends whoever's in office. They are the business managers of the lodge. No longer does an exalted ruler control the House Committee. Our business committee survives no matter who's in power. Guess what? The Moose did the same thing. They got a business manager out there. They have each year a different governor. But they have somebody who runs the business affairs. This is what we're doing. We're setting out the charter government. We're basically going to put our own constitution in place. We're going to develop our own rules and regulations that we like, that fit city of Kent. Now, at this point, we don't have to follow the state laws. How many of you try to get some change in the state government? First, you got to get a legislature. It's going to write the bill. Then it goes into committee, then out of committee. Then it goes to the other house, then a conference committee, then a joint committee. God forbid, you might get it to a vote, you might get it passed. But you got to convince 88 other counties that your bill is good. So the time you get something, which is 4 or 5 years down the line, and water it down, you might be halfway competent with what you want. With this, we don't answer and have to go to the Ohio Revised Code. We can make our own rules within the charter. That gives us lots of flexibility. Think about it. We can't change state income tax. We can't change federal, but we can change local income tax. We can put tax incentives in there for investment. People invest in downtown, invest in our community, tax credits. These are things we can do. Maybe not under the Ohio Revised Code, no. But under charter, yes. You think you want people to invest in this town? You want to be committed? Everything change comes at a price. The man here says, well, we're getting taxed. No, that's not true. What you're getting is every 3 to 5 years, the state legislature told you we have to reappraise our real estate. And guess what? Anybody in this room know the real estate's going down? No, it's going up. That's why our tax bill's going up. It's not because this committee here or the legislature here or this people here from the city government. It's because your people down in Columbus put this every 3-year review and every 5-year review that our appraisals go up. So it has nothing to do with anybody taxing them. And by the way, the school levy was voted in by the people, not by this administration. You agreed to pass that school levy. You agreed to be taxed. And whether you were here or not, doesn't matter. That was voted in an encumbrance that you agreed to. Now, live with the consequence. Let's move on. Income tax. Everybody pays income tax. Every village does. There isn't anybody, and I know, if you look at those 158 cities that are on there, how many of them have you been to? How many of you shopped there? They're progressive. Gulf Fountain's on there. Marysville's on there. You just mentioned the poll. They all have things going on because they have structured their government to be progressive. Now, you can sit back and cry about the old days and what's don't change, but you're not going to get anything done. It's time to take control of it and get it done. And yes, to answer your question, every one of these meetings is open to the public. You can take input from regular citizens. In fact, if I would hope to be on the commission, if I had something there about city government, I'm going to my council and say, hey, how's it working with this structure? I want their input because they're actually doing it every day. That's a source of information for me. Besides 168 other charters that wrote about the councilman, I can look and see how they work. I got lots of resources. They're dealing. I want their input. Do they control it? No. The commission controls it. But they have the experience, and I want to tap that resource. So this is really a good thing. I've listened to the naysayers, and all they say is, well, they don't want to take away the vote. You're not. You're still voting to councilmen. Those are voting positions. The mayor's still a voting position. You're shifting the control away from political hacks to basically people that are qualified to run the government, just like you did in your social clubs. And in this case, we can change residency. Right now, we're having a hard time finding people to run for the city government. You see that every village, if you read the Kid Times, they can't fill their council slots. We can't fill even half our city slots. Yeah, the problem is you can't find qualified people. We can change certain things. For example, an auditor, you got a good auditor candidate who lives in Arlington. Yeah, but he doesn't have to be a resident city candidate. He'd be a qualified candidate. He'd be a good candidate, he's a good auditor. And he keeps our books in order. Now, am I going to turn him down because he lives in Arlington? No, because he's not required to live in Kent. But if you're required to live in Kent, then I got to go look, what's the pool? Who's there? How many got a county background that wants to run for city auditor? That's a very limited pool. And are they qualified? Right now, it's all about party politics. Republicans versus Democrats. Who wants to be in power? Well, that doesn't mean they have the best qualified candidate. It just means they have a bias with the label. This eliminates the party politics out of our local government. Allows us to put qualified people in for every slot that needs to be done. And that, to me, is progress. You want party politics? Yeah, you still got your state and your federal level. You can play all you want. But at this level, my opinion is, this is good for Kent. Yes, change is horrible, and it takes time. But once you do the Constitution, which is the home charter, you can't amend it in council. It can only be done by the voters. What you do is you do it just like the state level does. It passes laws, and guess what they do? They turn around like the Department of Taxation. Does the legislature put all the rules of taxation? No. They give the Department of Taxation the right to make rules and regulations to carry out the duties that they told them to do. That's the same thing our charter does. We create offices of taxation. Do we have in the charter exactly everything about the details of income tax? No. We delegate that power to that department with the advice of council to make rules and regulations that are flexible, that can be changed locally, but we don't have to submit that back to a change in our charter. But this is what it is. You're developing constitutional basis of power. And to me, this is progress. And it's something different. And what can go wrong? We've been staying where we are right now for over 100 years. Our population in the city of Kent has not changed since 1900. This county has been floating between 30 and 30,000, 32,000 for over 120 years. If you want to go ahead and meet and compete, we're going to have to get in the game. Got 168 villages and cities that are in the game. 58 are considering changing. They're not yet, but they're still there. We either get along or somebody passes us by.
Right back in the corner there.
So from my understanding, earlier you said there will no longer be an auditor or a treasurer. Those were your exact words. I need to know that in fact.
So in that context, what I should have said was they would no longer be elected.
They would no longer what?
Be elected, they would be also appointed.
So they're going to.
Thank you for
because you said there would no longer be one.
No,
And those are very
thank you for
important
noticing
roles
that.
in the
So
community.
they would no longer be elected, they would become appointed. So that was kind of the point where I was talking about where people felt like we were taking away from their ability to elect people. I was making the point that nobody's ran against them positions since 2009 except for treasurer in 2016.
Which is my next
Yes.
thought. You also said that if somebody's just on the ballot, that you're going to vote for them. I would like you to know that you are on my ballot and I did not vote for you. Just because your name was there does not mean I have to vote for you, and you just told everybody in the city that's how they vote. Also, you told the auditor and treasurer pretty much you're not qualified to do your job. Those people are doing their job, sir, and if they weren't, you as council can get rid of them.
No, we can't.
You're telling me they can't fire anyone? If they stole money, they can't get rid of them.
If you steal money, if you steal money,
Let me catch you a little quicker. Yeah, if you steal money, you can be removed for a crime, but if the auditor is not doing their job, if the treasurer's not doing their job, there's no mechanism to force them out other than to talk to them and say, hey, You're not going up and request that they resign. Same thing with the mayor. If the mayor's not doing a bad job, all you can do is get somebody to run at the next election. And these positions are 4-year terms, so it's statutory. We have to follow the code.
I'm aware how this works. I work for the government. I'm very well vetted in how government works. I'm also vetted in how council works because I did serve on a council. I served on a council that actually was down the drain in the village of West Gainesville, where the state had to come in and set guidelines. And you know what? The state did it. Now they're on their feet and everything is more running smoothly. So you're saying that the people working for your city currently do not need to be there? They do not know right, they're not qualified for the job, because that's what you said,
You're
Chad.
twisting this into.
No, sir. He said they are not qualified for their job.
No, he did not. He said the qualifications are for auditor, you have to be 18 and you have to be a resident. That's the qualifications. There's no educational requirements, and you have to live in town.
But
Those are
this-
your three requirements. So-
Also, the mayor also said that she could put her friend up there, but she has things set in place where that is not.
Not auditor, treasurer, law director.
Okay, so you're telling me that the village, the city of Kent is just gonna vote in Joe Schmo, who you see at the bar all day long, but he can vote? No, that's not the truth. You're twisting the truth when you're saying that people can't, like, they are voting for an incorrect person.
But a mayor can vote a person as safety service director that needs no qualifications. And that has, in my opinion, as being on city council for 4 years, that has been detrimental to the city. That I've seen the improvements that were made from the swimming pool to the water.
And I'm not saying that Cindy doesn't do her job. That is not what I'm saying at all.
But what I'm saying is that inability that we are blessed with Cindy Murray in previous years, like they're asking ODOT for money for 2030 for our streets. And that was an absence for many years. That's why we're so far behind in the ballgame with the swimming pool, with the water tower, with the water treatment plant. Because it's easier to say, hey, let somebody else do it. It's a lot of work, it's a lot of information.
And it's money, a lot of money, because
But here's the thing.
$50,000 is a lot of money too.
We can't go back to the person that's not going to champion for money for our streets in 2030, because we need that money. But that's how far ahead that you have to be proactive. And in my opinion only, as being on council for 4 years, I went to meetings for 1 year before I ran. I didn't see that champion going on by that last administration.
And that's why you ran.
That is.
And that's why you're on there. That's
Well-
because you see the way that is.
I wanted to make a difference, but I also have learned, let me tell you, the first time we went to the swimming pool to open it up, I thought I was gonna throw up. Because it was just full of broken equipment, not clean, and we spent days out there, Cindy, Lynn, people on, we now have it painted, we now have chemicals that are supposed to be doing their job, we have it properly painted. It has improved so much, and it's just like every other little thing that, as a person working, as a single mom working, I didn't pay any attention to that when I was working, because I thought it would just carry on, but we can't continue to carry on and go backwards if we have a mayor that says, do you know anything about lead line pipe? Do you know anything about how far the pipes need to go to the ground with the, we can't do that anymore. We just can't say, okay, we're gonna go dig trailer lots at Southbury Quarry, they're not engineered, they're not measured out, the drains aren't dug deep enough. We can't have that kind of.
So the 15 people that are appointed have the ability to know that that's a great idea. Like,
I hope that they gather their knowledge of where the city was when these ladies took it over and where they are now, and keep building forward from that. That's my hope, that they educate themselves.
I don't have anything negative about these 15 people, but they're exactly like your council is. Council didn't know what they were doing when they got on board, and you have to learn. These 15 people are the same way, and you want them to write a charter from scratch with attorneys that are from Columbus.
There's actually a model code charter you buy. Every city adopted a zoning plan. There's a model zoning plan. That's just what started with. And everybody takes that model plan, extrapolates it, and makes it their own zone. There's also the same thing for charter government. There's a model charter government. It's a basic plan. You take that and extrapolate from it, and you make it fit your community. 168 other towns have done that. So not all 168 look alike. They've all put special things into their community. We can do the same thing using the model plan as a starting point and then extrapolate the best of these 168 communities, plus our own idea, if you want to put it in. We're not starting out and start making it dark.
No, I understand that you're not doing that, and I understand there's other charter communities. You know what? There's plenty of cities near us that are not doing this currently. Currently, I really don't think the city of Kenton is in a spot to take on a charter. For the plain and simple fact that the startup cost of a charter is just maybe not pennies, but it is. You really are not paying your fire, your EMS, anybody nearly what they need to be paid. These guys live in our town. They work for us. And if you think they're gonna stay there, if they can't pay their bills because the electric bill keeps going up, because the water bill keeps going up, you're wrong. They're gonna go.
But we have that problem right now.
I understand that you have that problem, but you're not using the money
daily
to
issues that are placing
take a
fire
chance.
have a battle with. So we're living that battle right now of not being able to keep up with the wages. So this charter does not change the component. And you just gotta keep in mind, if the public doesn't like what the commission does, you vote no in November 26th, and you say, we want what we've had. And so the commission can't put this on the people. It'll be all your vote. All they're gonna do is put what they think is the best plan, and they're gonna say, vote yes or no, yes or no. And if voters say no, like they said at the beginning, is entirely dead. It has to start all over with another ballot issue. Do you want to start a commission? A commission's formed, and it's a whole other year. So what the commission does is not going to bind anyone. It would be the 2nd November vote.
Also, I feel like you did not, like, you're saying that you're giving, this has been presented as, we have a voice. You have a voice now to go and vote. You got everybody, we voted for all these council people, we vote on our levies, we vote on our taxes. We still have that same ability. Now there's gonna be 15 people that if you have an idea, you're gonna go to those 2 people on your board, you're gonna present your idea, and they're gonna decide whether or not they take it to council or not. You said it's a buddy system, same thing. If they don't like me, and they don't want something, they don't wanna listen to it, you know, it's gonna be a back burner until I bring it up 52 times. I mean, it's the same process, except now you have 15 people plus your council.
So we have 15 people that 11 of them turned in a petition. We have 15 people that are willing to represent our city, to put themselves out there, to try and better our community, to try and develop a system for our city that we can strive to be better. We have there's no doubt there's not one person in this room, and you are pointing it out yourself, the struggles that we are incurring right now. The purpose of these 15 people in November, that we as a community can vote and say, let's try and make ourselves better. We struggle with paying our police, we struggle with paying our fire, we struggle with our tax, what it is. These are all things that we can take control of and say that we want to structure our government that suits us. That's all charter, that's all I ask as a citizen, is that we look at an opportunity to better our community through our community, not through the state, not through any other community have the ability to better ourselves. We can pick ourselves up by the bootstraps and make ourselves accountable for ourselves and put expectation for our government and for our employees in the city to live to a standard that we can accept that would make us better. That's all I'm saying. Now, if you want to
So you
twist
don't
my words
have,
on
no,
what
I'm
I'm
not twisting
saying.
your words, you don't have any plans, Chad, and you told me, when this all transpired, you, sir, told me that these people, these 15 people, you wanted to make sure they had the knowledge to be able to run
For
this
sure.
commission.
For sure I do. For sure I do. And that's where Britta and Greg would come in. They gotta be given that knowledge.
So why can't council learn knowledge then? Because you also said people on council are just being voted in and they don't have knowledge. I believe that the people I vote in on council have knowledge. I
So-
believe they're there and they want to learn. I believe they want to serve. That's why they're there.
Okay, so I'm an example of what you're saying. And prove me wrong, because this is what I'm saying. I ran, Ray was council at the time, he chose not to run again. So when I ran unopposed. I got 255 votes for my ward. Me and my wife obviously voted for me. I hope she did anyway. She said she did. She could have lied, but we never know. 255 votes. So I had 252 votes of my ward that I guarantee you most of them didn't know me. They voted for me. So what I'm saying is, when you're saying that we're taking away people's right to vote, or we only vote for the down ballot type things, it happens. My point is, it happens. We vote for people that are just, that could be the only option. I'm an example. I was the only option for Fourth Ward. People voted for me that didn't know me, just because that's the way they vote. That's the way it works. So, to try and say that I'm saying that, these people aren't being, there's nobody to vote for, there is, but there's not options. That's my point.
Well, you have 2 people running for this, so each 2 people out of each ward literally could run for council, and there would be more options. You understand that, right? That's how that works.
Sure, I understand that, but it's not there.
But you didn't put it out, it's not like you put it out there either. I'm frustrated currently with council the way it is. I have lots of zoning issues going on my end of town, but instead, my councilman is standing up here giving a speech, and that's fine, that's great. But the things still aren't getting taken care of, and I was also told that all the old ordinances are on the books because we don't know how to rewrite them and it costs money. You told me that outside of a council meeting.
That's been a topic. We've discussed that here tonight. Lynn has brought it up tonight. Our ordinances are from the 60s and 70s.
You can rewrite them.
You can.
Why not do it?
I don't mind
Why are you
debating.
waiting
I don't
for a
really
charter?
mind debating. I can
I'm
debate all
not
night, but if
debating.
you have a
I'm-
question.
Yeah, my question is, why are you not rewriting them now? Why are you waiting for the charter?
So part of this gets to the same thing with police and fire. We can write the most elaborate ordinances in the entire country, but unless we have the money to enforce the ordinances, it's the same thing with police and fire. If we have to go after a zoning issue, we have to force the issue, that costs money to enforce. And it also takes time and staffing to enforce those ordinances. So yes, you can rewrite them all, but if you're gonna rewrite them, you have to be willing to follow up and enforce the ordinances.
So
And that costs money, a lot of money.
So my point is, even if we do the charter city, and like I said, I have a lot of things going on in my ward, it's still not going to get, it still is not gonna get addressed right away because we don't have the money to take care of it. I mean, I'm just making sure, because the charter city, I'm not against charter cities. First off, I think about Fountain can pull this off a grant. Right now, we don't even have the money to pay employees. And we want to spend money out of pocket. like 50,000, it's not like this is free. It's not like we're like, we wanna go, we're gonna start, we're gonna petition for this, put it on the ballot, that stuff's free. But when it comes to actually paying out, the city of Nelsonville has passed a charter a year ago. Now they are wanting to reverse that.
So I've studied on the Nelson. Nelson is the only charter in the state of Ohio that has voted to repeal their charter. Nelsonville is 4,500 people, so they're a town. They're not a city.
It doesn't matter.
That, it does matter because
They're voting
it's a
to-
matter of the size of the city. It's not apples to apples to oranges to oranges. They are a town, they are not a city. They did vote to repeal. They had a council member that, I don't know the story, was evidently scorned, took and got in their charter, their commission created in their charter, the ability to collect 70% of signatures from the town and put it on the ballot to repeal. He was able to accomplish that. He was able to convince 70% to vote to repeal it. That is true. Nelsonville has voted. It is still in the court system as to the validity of how council done their thing. So
And I just
that is
have-
the one and only city that has done it or one and only town. I can't call it a city because to be a city, you have to be 5,000 people. So villages can be charters, towns can be charters. They have voted to repeal, and that's their prerogative. It would be our prerogative. If it's not working for us, we're not tied to this for life. If it's not working for us, the community can repeal it. So you're just offering to the fact that there's choices beyond even this choice. So
And I just have one more question. The people that are voted on the committee, do they ever get to come, are they voted out, ever?
no,
Okay.
no. Doris, if you have a question, she's right behind.
Thank you. I'm Doris Worthy, Ward 3, if that's an issue. Chad, I have a comment, and that is, if we have another one of these meetings, can we have it at some place where there's back on the chair and have a seat? I use please. But my question, I have two actually. Assuming the commission is voted in and they create this charter that would be voted on November of 26th, is there any opportunity for public comment once every household receives the copy that anything would be amended before it would go on the ballot?
So it cannot be amended. What they draft is what they draft. It's a one-time thing. Now, if it gets voted in, it could be amended after that. But we cannot ask them as electorate to go back and say, hey, we don't like this. They have 7 months to get this done. In essence, they have a year, but it would have to be done by the end of July. For it to be able to get
certified to the Board of Elections to go out. That's why they don't have a full year. It'll be a year before the vote, but they gotta get it certified with the Board of Elections in the process to get it out to the voters. So the commission really is on a 7-month window to get that drawn up, to meet the statutory requirements to get it before the voters.
And then the next question is, can you explain to me, if the charter would pass, how the commission and the city council, how they work?
So so these 15 men and women that are representing the commission now, once they submit their final draft, their jobs are done. They disband, they have no more service to the community, so to speak. So their whole job and their whole directive is to draft a charter to put forth to the electorates in November 2026. They would be disbanded. To kind of add on to it a little bit, they put in there that, hey, we want this reevaluated in 5 years, 8 years, whatever, for amendments. and they say, they would put in there, 7 members. 7 members of the community would have to reevaluate this for a minute. They could put whatever number, they could say 15, but new people would be selected for that. It would be a process where the amendment process, it would start over. So these 15 people don't carry on, it's not like a lifetime appointment, so to speak. So if there was ever an amendment put before the people, the whole new process for getting them to serve on that commission would be started in that regard. So does that answer your question? Does anybody else have any questions? Ray, let's get Ray in one.
Ray Lawrence, 4th Ward. So I've had the pleasure of being appointed as a councilman and then elected as a councilman, and I decided not to run again and let you have it
Thank
for a
you.
couple of years. Anyhow, Brad answered a lot of them, but
John,
in that quick ear, you didn't hear all he said.
I'm sorry, Ray, I didn't mean to interrupt you.
But first of all, what's the operating budget for your commission?
For the commission,
Yeah,
these people are serving their community. There is no pay for them.
all right.
They are.
100 people asked me roundabout way, but yeah, so no operating budget for the commission. Okay. So my next thing, Brad answered a lot of it, but it was pretty quick. What can they do for us that an elected council doesn't have the ability to do?
So who are they? Are we talking about the commission?
Yes.
So the commission's sole purpose is only to draft the charter. So they don't have anything to do with legislation in the city. They don't have anything to do with council. Council is a whole separate entity. The commission's sole purpose is to meet and come up with a finished product basically by the end of July. Amy's gonna want that draft by August 5th, 4th next year, so that's the time frame. But their sole purpose is only to serve, to create the charter.
I really hope that we get the opportunity to give the commission a chance to draft something for us. That's the first thing I'd like to say. With that being said, though, if that does happen, if we do get that passed in November, to get that formed, I would assume for these open meetings that they would be having, would they put out like an agenda? I know somebody mentioned, I think it was you mentioned, that it could be kind of a free-for-all at these open meetings with all the questions and things that might come up. It would help maybe, would they put maybe agenda together of maybe the topics that they're planning on talking during this open meeting? And then really just ask the people to stay on topic to that. It might help with the situation that she had mentioned. Do you think that's something they would consider?
So the way the commission, to answer your question, these 15 individuals, like I said, from the beginning, if it passes and we say as a city, let's let these 15 people create this charter, these 15 people are gonna meet, they're gonna select, like I said, they're gonna select who is gonna be their chair. Their chair is gonna basically be in charge of keeping them on task, keeping them moving, keeping them progressing, Bricker grading through their presentation. They are very well versed. This is what they do. They will give these 15 individuals, hey, this is the topic, this is the chapter we need to be ready for next time we meet. These are the articles, whatever you want to call them, chapters, articles. They will have directive, they will have homework to be prepared for the next meeting and to bring what they feel works best for our city. They will decide they will decide as 15 what it takes. Obviously, 15 people are not going to agree on every last thing. They will decide amongst themselves whether it's a majority, whatever it will be. They will decide if it takes 9 out of the 15 to say, hey, this is what we're adopting. Obviously, not everybody's going to agree. Everybody's going to have different ideas, different opinions. So they'll decide how that is structured amongst themselves, if that answers your question, Bill. Yep. Does anybody else have any questions? Bill back here, he's got it.
Could you have all of the people stand up that are on that committee?
Yeah. With commission line,
I want to see their face.
with all the commission people line standing up. Just, I know Tony came in late, Bill come in late, he didn't see, so.
This is 14 of them, huh?
14 of them. The one who was missing is Michelle Wallace.
So if
Shannon Flaherty.
if people vote no on this group in November, then it's over.
Then it is over. It was back to square one. I would encourage everybody in this room to look around this room. Every one of these people are standing, are, for one, doing a tremendous service for our community by stepping forward. Also, just to look around the room, if you don't, I don't know all these people, I don't pretend like I do, I don't. But, as with anything, I try and do my homework, I try and see what, I can learn about them. I would think people's done their background on me and see what they can learn about me. So I feel 100% confident in these 15 people representing us in our community to get the job done, and I feel every one of them brings their own unique experiences within our city. Every one of them is long-time residents. They all have experienced the highs and lows of our community. So they all bring their own experience to what could be a better way of doing our government and our way of life. Yeah.
I just want to say, just as one member serving on this committee, I would never have said that I would serve on this if I didn't feel that I could do the job. I have the education, I have the experience, I have lived in Kentland since 1980, and I have seen it when it's been crap. And we had crappy leaders. And I am glad to say now that we are so much better, and I want that continued. I want to work with these people. It's not going to be one person running it. We will work together to make it better. And I think everyone that was chosen or asked, will do that. We will listen to each other. We will come away with a better product for our community because we deserve it.
Amy, did you have a question?
No,
So, speaking of Amy, I'm going to put her on the spot. I have a sample ballot for Marion. Marion is also at the same point we are. Their council passed a couple weeks after our council passed it. They passed to ask their community to give their commission people the opportunity to create a charter as well. So Marion is really in the same moment in time as we are. I do have their sample ballot. Their ballot reads, shall a commission be chosen to frame a charter? Yes or no? Everybody that votes will say yes or no to that question. If you say no, you still have the opportunity to vote for all 15 people. I say there's 15. You don't have to vote for them all. You can vote for who you like. If you don't know, you don't have to vote for them. I want to be clear on that. So even if you vote no, you would still vote for them 15 people that want to represent. Obviously, the top 15 vote getters would get it, and we have 15. So I would think every last one of the commission people would at least vote for themselves. If they don't, trust me, I will vote for all 15 myself, so they will be elected if it passes. So I just wanted to kind of be clear. It's going to be a twofold question as far as part one, yes or no, do you want to give Ken the opportunity to create a charter? Part two, these are the 15 names representing the charter. Vote for who you like. You can vote for all 15, you can vote for none. There is no, every one of them would get at least one vote. So, Joel, did you have, to stretch this? I'm trying to corral you in there. So, does that make sense? Anybody have questions on that? It will be a twofold question on the ballot in November. First part, yes or no. The yes or no is just to give the 15 people the opportunity. And obviously, I'm standing up here presenting it to give them 15 people the opportunity. We deserve it. We deserve. Go ahead. You got that? Yeah, he's coming over.
For one thing, AI is really kind of cool. You can actually put in the pros and cons of the type of government that you're proposing. And it gives you all the pros and cons. So I would ask everybody to ask their Gemini the pros and cons of the city manager government, because it does give you quite a listing. I think I made it to about half of it since I've been sitting here. Second of all, if you hear people that may be negative about the concept, and you decipher down what they're really saying, to me it sounds like people are concerned whether there's going to be public input into the 15. Is there a chance for public input in these go-forward sessions? I think that's kind of important when you're talking about writing a new kind of constitution. And not that it still comes down to the elected officials and those folks to make the decisions, but I think you want to make sure this process, everybody has their big ears on and not their small ears. Because if it's not perceived to be that way, this won't pass. So you got to make sure that people feel like you're listening, and then hopefully you show on certain parts of it that you're listening. So I think you're hearing a little bit of concern on whether there will be public input into the final structure. And you guys are the ones we would be relying on to make sure that happens. I don't think there's anything wrong. I have a question. Is the position of mayor a statutory requirement? Can you answer that, Brian? Yes. It is a statutory requirement. Because I've lived in both. I lived in Delaware, I lived in Dublin, and they have both mayor and they have both the city manager. I was just wondering, I didn't know that was a statutory requirement. And then the other thing I think is a fair question is, and a concern, is budgeting. So I think that's more the city council right now. So city council has to put forward something of a plan to say, we know there's going to be a financial impact to this, to say they're all paid for in an environment where you're currently underfunded as you exist today. There still has to be ongoing conversation if you want to dig yourself out of this hole to address the long-term city budgeting. It's not just a city of Kenton, I also think it's a county issue. But sales tax, I think, is still the largest revenue to feed government in Hardin County. Is that not? I'm just talking about in the Hardin County total.
Hardin County.
Deal. Sales tax far and away exceeds any other tax that I'm aware of, right? So, I mean, at some point in time, there's a discussion here about what's the most efficient. I don't care if you're a mayor. I don't care if you got city managers. If you don't have access to cover your budget, you're in a deficient form of government. So at some point in time, that has to be addressed. So I say it's really input, structure, and budgeting is what's going to win people's hearts and minds on this subject matter. And for the people who don't think you need change here, I grew up in this community, moved away 25 years, lived down in Columbus, and I come back
I sometimes wonder if people realize what would Kenton look like today if it wasn't for the mayor and the city service director? Really, where would we be?
Are you talking about the current?
I'm talking about currently. So I think my main reason for being here is I don't really have enough information to tell you whether I'm pro or con, because I think it's going to come out of what the 15 people produce and for the community to review and obviously vote on. But one thing's for sure, City of Murray didn't come here for an economic advantage.
Right.
Okay? Lynn did not come here because she she thought being mayor was her best use of her time. I doubt if they make prevailing wage, and I doubt if they really kept track of their time if they made minimum wage.
You're absolutely right. You're absolutely right.
Okay? So we have to figure out what's the best way to attract the next generation of these two type caliber people as a community. Because if we go back to the old days where our mayor was sorry, Brad, back in the 70s, that's not going to be positive. It's not going to be where we want to be 20 and 30 years from now. So change doesn't come without pain. There's obviously going to be pain in this. But I would just ask everybody to sit and think about, if it wasn't for these two, where would we be? That's it.
Thank you. So I'm going to kind of add just my take of where I'm at and my passion for charter. These two ladies are what drive me to drive charter. This is what we need to expect out of our community. I can tell you, we spent $2 million in federal funding last year. So I get an email from the city. We have to have an additional audit for the $2 million we received from the federal government. Our auditor has been doing our audits for 15 years, and he said this is the first time he knows of in any audits that our community have had that much funding to be reinvested in our community. We all pay federal tax. That's money back to us that these two ladies chase through grants, through any avenue they might scratch and claw to get. So for me to really, my motivation to drive to ask the community to support charter, these two ladies here are what drive me to ask that. So just as a citizen, we should expect, we can't expect the free time that she gives us, because she does. She is 24/7. Anybody that knows her knows that both of them are. But we should expect the level of taking the initiative to get forward thinking, to be aggressive in getting grants that are 5, 10 years down the road. That job that she does, hey, like I said, I'm 18 months into charter, or into council. As long as my trash was picked up, my water turned on, and my toilet flushed, I was fine. In my 18 months, just the things that I learned that not only these ladies, but the whole group up there does. The whole building does up there. As a whole, they are a well-oiled machine. They let me come up and kind of be a cog in their gear sometimes, but they are a well-oiled machine. And we should expect that out of our city service director, as far as a standard of this is what we need from our city service director, whether it's a council manager, whether it's an administrator. We don't want to regress as a community. None of us do. We want to always be moving forward. We always want to be better. Cindy, particularly, not to take anything from Lynn, but Cindy particularly has shown me the light of what we should expect. And I'm not, this is not on anybody. I am just talking about Cindy and her drive and her ability to deal with the EPA. She negotiates our fire and police contracts. She wears so many hats that our city does not even begin to, I don't even begin to still fully understand. She does so many things for our community in that position, beyond who she is as a person, but in that position. She has to deal with EPA. She has to deal with budgets. She has to chase grant money 5 to 10 years out. She has to deal with infrastructure. So many things, and we have so many things in our community that are moving in the right direction. And for me as a charter, I feel like that gives us another piece in the puzzle to maintain that standard of living that we all want to have. So, to touch on his point, if you Google the pros and cons, it's there. Everything has pros and cons. Everything has pros and cons. We all drive cars knowing that we could be in a wreck and killed on our way home. Everything has a pro and a con. We have to determine if the pros outweigh the cons. If you Google and you Google anything, or Gemini it, or whatever platform you use, make sure that it's specific to what suits our community. A lot of times, other states, like California, may pop up. So make sure you're looking at Ohio. Make sure you're looking at really what it says, because a lot of it is vague. It says possibilities. The possibility of this can happen. There's possibilities in everything. What we want to do in November is eliminate the possibilities and really know what our 15 members of our community is going to draft. We want to give them the opportunity to solidify what our possibilities are, so that we know exactly what we are going to have the opportunity to adopt or deny adopting in the following year. So there's pros and cons in everything. We live with pros and cons in our government right now. I personally feel like our government and our community could be a lot better if we would adopt a charter. I know everybody's said that. Is there any more questions? If there not, I truly appreciate everybody's attention. I truly appreciate everybody attending. And thank you for coming out tonight. You guys have anything to add? Sure. Hey, Ray would like to close out the prayer.
All right. I'd like to thank you guys for coming. I sure wish I could have seen more Kenton in this room. We should have had more adults, but I know as a city council member, we always started our council in prayer. I think we should close this out in prayer if you bow your heads with me. Heavenly Father, we thank you, Lord, for bringing us together, Lord, for giving us a voice, for living in a small town like this, but yet still trying to make a difference, Lord. I pray that you just pour over the people that's going to maybe write a new constitution for us, write a new future, write a new way. I pray, Lord, that you open the minds to the voters, that you let them vote, Lord, with their heart and their mind and with an educated vision, and not with a media that leads them and guides them in their own opinion. Let them form their own education to this. Bring them to the voting polls, let them vote their way, not the way their neighbor's opinion is. Lord, I thank you for all this. Thank you for what you give us. Guide us and direct us, Lord. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen.